always heard that people wanted a Lego Star Wars game with all of the movies.
Where'd you hear that?
From the mob. I work with the
mob.
The mob. The Yakuza.
The Yakuza?
I work for them.
No, you don't.
Unimportant.
Okay.
Anyway, you're right, I don't. But if any Yakuza out there is listening, I think you're really cool. Please don't kill me and my family.
Also, we'd like to talk to your recruiting officer.
Yeah, regardless, though.
Yeah.
You're not going to get it, but you sort of are.
Okay.
You're going to get a majority of the movies. You're going to get the Skywalker saga, as they deem it now.
Of course.
Of 1 through 9. So, starting with everyone's favorite, The Phantom Menace, culminating with everyone's second favorite, The Last Jedi. I had to think for a second because I blocked out parts of it. And it's not really culminating with that. I'm just saying that's everyone's favorite. 9's going to be in it too, but we don't really know that movie's story, so who knows what to say about that.
Right.
However, there are some interesting things to take away from this. You were very excited about it.
Very excited about it.
And one thing we had talked about before was that these Lego games, while they do still follow their formula, it's not just the formula of everything is a reskinned Lego Star Wars 2, which is what it was for quite a few years. There has been some more, diverse gameplay to it. It still is obviously going to be a Lego game, but it's going to be fully realized. I know for sure I saw that they're rebuilding this from the ground up. It's not porting of episodes 1 through 6 or 7. So what do you think about this?
Yeah, I am incredibly excited, especially, so like you said, there was a period where they were kind of just reskinning games and you were doing the same tasks and doing the same things. So it wasn't really fresh. The thing that I love about the games is they take the worlds that are created either in movies, in books, like the Harry Potter Lego game.
Oh, Harry Potter. Interesting that came up.
Is my favorite Harry Potter game, and there were 8 of each movie that were like live action EA games, basically. And there was 2 that were okay. Anyways, not really about that.
Wait, what do you mean 8? You mean like 8 different movies combined into the
No, they made like 8 different games based off each of the movies.
So really?
Yeah.
So what's that whole thing I see sometimes at Walmart where it's like Lego Star Wars, Lego Harry Potter like Collection 1, Lego Harry Potter Collection 2? Is that like where it's different?
That's correct. So EA made 8 separate games as well.
Did they ever make like a combined?
No, it was all each. So you had Sorcerer's Stone, Chamber of Secrets, and they were all. And
what
they
about
went
Fantastic
the
Beasts?
No, didn't touch that.
Do you think it'll happen? When
Maybe.
they're done?
I could see it happening in Lego potentially. Yeah, because like EA did not do well. There was like 2 games that were good.
Oh, I'm sorry. So you're talking about just the movie games, not the Lego movie games.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
I was on a different thing because I was thinking about they also did the Lego Harry Potter like Collection 1 and Lego Harry Potter Collection 2.
Correct. That's what I was going to say, is that they Lego then went back and did all of it. And what they did, what Lego does such a good job of, is that they take a world and they fully expand it and do everything. It's really exploration based. So going into a Star Wars game like that, especially after really good games like Lego Marvel Superheroes, I really enjoyed Lego Avengers.
I really like Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens.
Exactly.
Have you played that?
I have not. That's next on the list.
Very fun. If you ever want to borrow it, I have it.
I do as well, actually. They had a super good sale on it. Yeah, so it's it looks really good.
And one nice thing is that you can play that, and this is going to be something different. It's going to follow the same story, but it's going to be different levels.
Exactly. And the thing that's really cool with Lego, not to dive too crazy deep into it, but
No, please dive in. A brick at a time.
Okay, that was nice.
Thank you. Hire me, Lego.
They really take, like, there's character tokens, obviously, and you get to see all of the obscure characters. Like, they really take their time.
Yeah,
and dive into characters.
Different abilities.
Yes, and they're all, it's getting to a point now where the Lego games are getting a lot more, not really complex, but they're just a lot deeper and more layered as far as combat, exploration, everything. So, for them to take the full 9 movies and to put that all into one game, it's going to be, I think, a very, very cool experience for Star Wars fans, because you're probably going to be able to, from what I'm guessing, if they're doing this big mega game, you're going to be able to explore pretty much everything that those 9 films had to offer as far as planets, like characters, everything. So they're going to do a full-on deep dive. This is like probably, I'm sure there's a lot of big Star Wars fans over at the Lego Creator Studio.
Yeah.
So this is going to be just, I'm sure, just a passion project for a lot of those guys.
Well, absolutely, because they've had that license to make Star Wars toys since, oh man, I have to think, like, at the very least, the early 90s.
Yeah.
So they've worked with the brand for a long time in the toy form, and then the first Lego Star Wars game came out in the early 2000s. I think it was like 01 or 02. And really kind of kickstarted all of this. And Lego had games before this, but they were not uniform in this way. They were all very different, and most of them were bad. And really not games. So something like Lego Island. Have you ever seen that?
I remember that, yeah.
Fun. It's not really a game. It's more of like a point-and-click adventure. Lego Island 2 kind of went off, did its own thing. Then there's the Lego Racers, which was interesting, but like a bad Mario Kart. So there's a lot of different things that they've done over the years. And then they kind of hit that point where they started with Star Wars. It's kind of almost poetic in a way. They started with Star Wars. Kaboom, like, out comes this age of Lego games. A lot of them are okay. Some of them are really good. And they've kind of worked back to Star Wars now. So it's interesting. And there's so much material to play through now, even just in that brand, because I think that once you have this, there's probably not going to be a lot of reason to go back to the old, complete saga or the old Lego Star Wars 1 or 2. But you can. Like, there's a lot of different explorable areas in those that I'm sure are going to be unique to them, not be ported because this is built from the ground up. And there's also Lego Star Wars 3, The Clone Wars, based on the Clone Wars show, which is canon to the movies. So there's tons of like material here that they have done.
Oh yeah, and I mean we were even talking too. They could do DLC with like Rogue One, Solo, like all of these side movies. They could do side stuff with that too and have DLC because. And the interesting thing that I think will be actually because what Lego does. Sorry, I got sidetracked for a second. But what Lego does is they take like a full story and they take like 15 or 20 levels out of that whole story. So I'm wondering if they're going to make like maybe 25, 30 levels for this game, and like it'll be the longest Lego game ever. Because typically you're looking at 15, 20 levels, and it's just summarized. They take the highlights of like key moments throughout the franchise and throw them in a level. You kind of go through, collect stuff, and then you get yourself through them.
Did you play the complete saga?
I did not.
Okay, did you ever play Lego Star Wars 1 or 2?
No.
Okay, so those were a little bit before you got into Lego.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because a lot of those were like, I think 6 to 10-ish levels per movie. So not a lot, but like then there would be, a bunch of movies. Like there would be 3 movies per game. And then in Complete Saga, it was pretty much just a poured up combination of both. So at that point, it was really big. But it was because they slammed 2 games that were pre-made into one.
Okay.
With this, it's interesting because they have to be able to tell these stories cohesively. Obviously, it's to a group that knows the Star Wars movies. So it doesn't need to be so cohesive that it's, a movie worth a piece, but cohesively enough that it's not jumping around and covers 9 films. So it's going to be interesting to see. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if they cover movies received worse a little less. Like maybe there's only 5 levels for Phantom Menace or 4 levels for Phantom Menace, and then there's 8 levels for Revenge of the Sith. I wouldn't be surprised at that.
It'd be interesting. That's usually not their forte. They usually have a very structured way you go through a game. So it'd be cool if they did that. Because I think the fans would appreciate. But that's the thing is some fans enjoy the Phantom Menace.
They do.
Some people do. So it's like.
But it's also like, do they want to make it a 35-hour game?
Right.
So there's kind of going to have to be some picking and choosing, I think, with it.
Absolutely.
I just don't know to what extent. Now, if this was porting up pre-existing material and the only new things they were making for sure were 8 and 9, I would think differently than that, right. Because they could take as much time as they want. Those games are done. So I'm just interested to see how that turns out.
Oh, for sure. Because, even in, like, Lego Avengers, like in Marvel Avengers, they combined 2 movies. They combined Age of Ultron and the first Avengers movie. And they basically just worked through and had 20 levels, and they just picked and choose, like, cool parts. And then they mixed in, like, the Phase 2 movies. So, like, Iron Man 3, Thor 2.
Iron Man 3 was in there?
Yeah. And so they had Iron Man 3. They had a cool scene from there. They had Thor 2 and Winter Soldier.
And was there like a level from Iron Man 3?
Yes. Yeah, it's where his house is getting blown up in Malibu.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's neat.
Yeah. So they take really cool parts from certain things and just pick and choose what they want to put in, and it's like the big impactful stuff. So they they'll have a good structure. They've got their formula that I really enjoy. And the exploration is honestly, for me, the funnest part. Is going back in free play, seeing all the collectibles and all the like Easter eggs that are deep fans will understand.
Well, you remember Lego Batman too. That's one of the best things they did was like, hey, here's Gotham City. Remember Lego Batman 2?
Yes.
All right, have fun.
Yeah.
And it was pretty much just the Justice League game.
Yes, go explore.
Yeah.
That's how Lego DC Villains was too.
Yeah.
You get Metropolis. You had Bruce Wayne's house, so you could go over into Gotham, go check that out.
Wayne Manor? That's
Wayne Manor, yeah. So you could go over there. There was Arkham Asylum. You go over into Smallville, and then there was a prison over. I forget what the prison was called, but yeah. So they've got the games. In summary, essentially, not to go on another rant, but they do things so well, and they take their time, and you can tell they're fans of the products they're making. So I'm really excited for this game.
Yeah, for sure. Me too, actually, especially after playing through Lego Star Wars 7, a game which I definitely want to go back to and mess around more on. And I still want to play the Incredibles, the Lego Incredibles game. That looked fun to me too. There's just a lot of stuff you can mess around in these games. And even though you and I don't have kids, so we're not always concerned with what could kids play? These are perfect games that are fun and funny that as an adult you can play as a family, either with kids or with a spouse, and have a good time, whether that person's hardcore gamer or not.
Oh yeah, even looking at there's a 49-second trailer on there. It shows the scene where Darth cuts off Luke's hand, but basically they make it fun and kid friendly because Darth cuts off his hand, and then he takes off his own hand and offers it to Luke.
Yeah.
As a joke,
Yeah.
Oh, what did I do? So it's it's fun, it's friendly. Honestly, it's a nice break if you're playing a very intense game to go into a Lego game and just explore and do stuff for fun. So
it's kind of the more all ages version of Call of Duty in a different way of just a fun, no one. There are people who unhealthily take Call of Duty seriously, but to most people it's I'm just going to chill, play some COD, whatever.
Right.
Lego's kind of the all-ages version of that in the way that anyone can enjoy it. It's not that serious. It can be if you want it to be, because there's plenty of collectibles and stuff to it. Or you can just kind of screw around on it and have fun. And I really like that about them.
Absolutely.
So I'm really hoping that this delivers on that, and I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
And in other Star Wars news, Jedi: The Fallen Order. Interesting. Now, in regards to not wanting to get stoned by the internet, because I know some people are very excited for this.
Yes.
I'm not saying it looks bad. Neither are you. Mm-hmm. So I think we should preface by saying we're not saying it looks bad. I also don't see a lot to be ridiculously hyped for in this.
You were a little mixed about it, watching the gameplay.
I am. It looks like a very low-key, toned down, in a good way, I will say in a good way, version of The Force Unleashed. Because The Force Unleashed was too crazy, in my opinion. It was too much of a Force power fantasy. I think it's a good game, but the combat kind of sucked. It was very mashy, in terms of just mashing square or X or whatever to hit. It was fine. I think it's a fun game. And it kind of seems like it takes the best parts of that, combines it with Uncharted and Tomb Raider kind of in this cinematic-y game. I think that's cool. I think it might be a little hard to pull off because those types of games are very divisive. Yes, everyone seems to love Uncharted, but you have to remember that there's also a huge portion of gamers that don't really want hallway simulator type game, and I say that just in the regards that it doesn't seem like from the footage they showed that there's alternate paths really. It seems like there's pretty much one way to go, and that's it, and you progress through linear levels, and there's nothing wrong with that, but your game needs to be real special to pull that off today, because you're releasing games in a world where Fallout 4 is a thing, games with tons of freedom are a thing. Grand Theft Auto is a thing where it has a linear story but is able to deliver it in a massive world.
Well, and even look at those are older games, and we're still talking about them today because of that.
100%. And here's the thing: Star Wars fans will talk to you about The Force Unleashed. Nobody else will. It's a fun Star Wars game. It's not really that special. But something like Knights of the Old Republic was able to pull off linear story because it had so much choice mixed into it. Both games. Even 2. 2 is a train wreck in terms of it was released unfinished because it was pushed out for Christmas obligatorily and then never finished until fans went back later and patched the old cut content into the game. And as a broken, unfinished game, it still has some of the best character-driven choices in a game ever. And I would argue that Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2 is one of the best Star Wars stories of all time.
And it was a broken game still.
Yeah, and that's including the movies.
Yeah, I never played it, so I have no idea.
So I guess what I'm saying is, like, as a game that's more linear, you need to be able to provide choice into it. You need to be able to provide some kind of customization. Yes, you want to tell a story, but you need to balance that with player-driven action. So if you and I both play a game and we know 100% that no matter what, it's the exact same, it does, whether it's fun or not, make the game feel more trivial. So you need to be careful with something like that. And I'm not saying linear games shouldn't exist. There's still plenty of popular linear games. The Uncharted franchise is a huge, huge, huge moneymaker and a show of that. However, why did it get away with it? It's because of the characters. It's because of the story. And frankly, it's because it's drawing from a lot of like really good pop culture stuff before it, like Indiana Jones. So if this can't do that, that's kind of what I'm worried about.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because a lot of people were comparing it to Uncharted. And another linear game I wanted to mention was God of War. That game was very linear, very good.
The new one.
The new one.
But one thing I will mention with that, I didn't play it. So I want to give that caveat. I've watched bits of it, and a lot of my friends did play it. And it seems like there's a lot of explorability in that of alternate paths that you still can mess around on.
Absolutely.
So I just wonder how they're going to address that in this, because if you have nothing like that, it really does kind of kill replayability.
That's a fair point. Because, after the game, you can go explore, do whatever you want, which is cool. This game confirmed not open world, which I think we all kind of knew or expected. So, I think it's interesting. They have the main character is a well-known actor. He actually played Joker on Gotham, and he's also a character on the show Shameless. So he's a pretty established actor. Seen him before, and he's good. He's very good. So, I think story-wise, they're gonna, like you said, they're gonna have to nail it. Because if we're having not an open world we can explore, the game is beautiful and it looks great, like just from the trailer itself. But we don't get to explore it. We're just gonna see it in these missions, is what it sounds like.
So here's the thing, though, too, and definitely not to cut you off, because I agree with you. But on the website, they go back and forth on it. So this is something I've been looking at while we were talking, because on the website they say that you explore ancient forest, windswept cliffs, and haunted jungles as you decide when and where you want to go next. So here's what I don't understand about that. They don't show anything like that in the trailer, in the E3 alpha gameplay.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, like, do you go somewhere, complete the level, and then you choose what level you go to next? Or how will they deal with that, I guess, is what I wonder.
Because maybe it is a little open world then.
I don't know. That's the problem with how vague it's being.
Yeah.
And the issue with Star Wars games historically is that they sell because they're Star Wars games, so you can be vague, and it'll sell. Mm-hmm. And I don't like that. Like, as someone who's a huge fan of Star Wars, like, you can see I have all the seasons of Clone Wars sitting on my shelves, multiple steelbooks. Like, I'm a huge fan of this property. I don't think it should sell just because of the name on it. Like, we probably just want to wait to get a little more information before we get ridiculously hyped about it. That's just my take on it. And that's from someone who stupidly pre-ordered Battlefront 2 after hoping that they would fix everything with it. So, like, I'm just saying, I've come off of 2 Star Wars games that were supposed to be great. They're both okay. I'm just kind of hoping this is good. I'm not sitting here with my, fingers crossed.
You've been burned a couple times.
Yeah. Yes.
Which, the great thing is, everyone has talked about it. It's a huge deal. No microtransactions. Basically, Respawn said, we're not doing that. Like, we're not doing microtransactions. It's not happening. It's just a story. People are going to enjoy this, which is great. So, it's a step in the right direction for a Star 100%. Wars product, because usually we're thrown a bunch of transactions that we're supposed to make that actually affect gameplay. That's not happening in this game. That's already going to have a lot more positive of an impact, I think, on people's mindset with it. But
I think so too, especially with like the story direction that they're going with this about being right after episode 3.
yes,
Or like within X amount of years of it.
yeah,
It's very Rogue One looking, and you see Saw Gerrera in the gameplay demo.
yes,
And he looks pretty close to the age he is in Rogue One. He looks younger, but older than in Clone Wars, which makes sense.
yeah.
So I'm just kind of, I don't know. There's a lot of things I like, a lot of things I'm cautious on. I didn't see anything I dislike.
Like the combat looked great.
Combat looks great.
Like the environment was like it was beautiful. It was the Battlefront 2, Battlefront 1. Like they do a great job building the environment.
Yes.
I liked the platforming was very Uncharted like, where he was able to force grab like the vines and swing.
And speaking of combat, being able to deflect the lightsaber bolts looks and seems like it plays a lot better than it did in Battlefront. Lightsaber combat in that was very wiffle bat like, of just like slapping each other around with lightsabers and nothing really happening or feeling like it had weight. This feels like it has weight. You see some dual type encounters with like different Imperial agents who like have what looks like kind of vibro blade, like vibro, I don't know how to say it, but like it's this material. I'm just going to summarize this for you. It's like this material in Star Wars canon that can like stand up to a fight with a lightsaber. So, like, do you remember the guy in... I don't think this is built out of this before, like, I get my head chewed off on, like, a comment. But, like, you remember the guy in Episode 7 where, like, Finn grabs the lightsaber and swings down and he hits his weapon and the weapon's fine?
Yeah.
There are certain weapons in Star Wars canon, very few, that can withstand hits from lightsabers and hit back. So it looks like there's going to be certain Imperial agents that have those in this, in whatever form they take. So that's interesting because you don't have to just shoehorn in a bunch of random Sith or like encounters with the same guy who should, by all accounts, kill you probably since you're just a Jedi Padawan in order to have that kind of combat. So they've thought about that stuff. I'm just concerned with, is it going to be too much reliant on set pieces? Is it going to be too reliant on the formula of something like Uncharted just to drag that into Uncharted Star Wars, or will it be its own thing? That's really all that concerns me because we've seen so little, but I'm very open to it.
Yeah, I think honestly, and we'll get more footage, we'll get more gameplay, probably some more trailers,
Yeah.
And more of an idea of what's going on. So obviously this is just first impressions, what we've seen so far,
Yeah.
which was like 15 minutes of gameplay. And it was like we speculated, it was probably like one of the opening levels.
Yes.
So more of a walkthrough, more of a get familiar with the game, I'm guessing. So we didn't get any of the meat of the story or any real cool boss fights, anything like that. So there's a lot that we obviously don't know. So
Yes.
This is pure speculation for a lot of it. Honestly, I'm excited about it, but I think we both need to see probably a little bit more before
Yeah.
it's like a day one pre-order. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly. And that's the thing is, like, I find that as I get older, I buy less and less of these games right away because I have so much in my backlog that I can play. And so much of this stuff comes out either not finished or broken in some way or a disappointment. So it's really nothing on this game other than just waiting to see. Because I just want to see more before I get all in on this one, too. This is the third time in a row, you know? So let's just wait and see.
Right.
But I'm really hoping for the best. I love Star Wars.
100%. Yeah. I think basically, quick conclusion of the video. Lego Star Wars, for me, is probably a day one buy for me.
Yes, because there's also a history to it. It's a proven track record.
Yes. Where this one, we'll wait and see.
Yeah.
Wait and see. Feel it out.
100%. I agree completely. Anyway, guys, let us know in the comments below what you think. Are you excited for either or both of these games or neither? Do you play Star Wars games? Are you more excited for anything else you've seen at E3? And we'll see you in the next one. A peace.